Why, Alijah Arenas? Why would you go to USC over following in your father's footsteps at Arizona? Why would you do this to us? It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere.
Welcome in, guys, to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Damon Fairall, coming to you live from PHNX HQ in Studio A, The GOAT, with my boy, Kevin Thomas.
What up,
pressing
what up?
buttons, doing it all. And boy, do we have a packed show for you today, Kevin. Of course, the main news being, five-star guard Alijah Arenas has now committed to USC. Someone that a lot of Arizona fans had circled for a long time as a potential Wildcat. And yeah, we're going to talk about that and talk about just kind of where Arizona's 2025 class goes from here, as well as some, NFL draft prepping for some former Wildcats and forever Wildcats, really, Kevin, I think is the way to look at that, and so much more. But first off, Kevin, how you living on a nice Friday morning like this?
I'm good, Damon. For those that don't know in the chat, our friend Damon Dog is a good man. He's a good person. He's a great friend and an even better coworker, because I was tired this morning. I was working on our show prep, and Damon walks in with a coffee for me. Just a nice coffee. I love it. Damon Dog, I appreciate the coffee. Thank you for that coffee. He's a good man. Got my morning started the right way. So, yeah. I'm doing well thanks to you, Damon.
Yes, Kevin. Of course, that was just a little bit of teamwork there. That's showing some synergy, some real chemistry going on, and I just I love what we have building over here.
Yeah, and I do want to real quick address David Stitt's comment. What happened to Mikhail
let's do it.
Madness last night? Corey, his flight got delayed on the way back to Tucson, so we will be having Mikhail Madness tonight at 7 p.m. as opposed to last night, because Corey couldn't make it with the flight troubles. So there will be Mikhail Madness, and we will be having it tonight at 7 p.m. I will be there, and so will all of you.
Yes, of course. I'll be there. I know I will be. They're going to break down the ASU matchup. We're going to break down the ASU matchup as well, Kevin, and just kind of how Arizona can get the W. But you want a little bit more in-depth analysis, former Arizona Wildcat Corey Williams, Mikhail Madness at 7 p.m. tonight. That'll be the place to be for all of your best Arizona Wildcats in-depth kind of breakdown there. But like I said, Kevin, we do have a lot to talk, starting with, I think, just, what most Arizona fans are locked in on the most right now, and that is Alijah Arenas, a top 10 player in the 2025 class, combo guard, shooting guard, kind of whichever way you want to look at it, but kind of a similar player, I'd say, in skill set to the way that his dad played, really, kind of a guy who likes to have the ball in his hands, scoring type of guard, maybe plays a little bit more like a shooting guard, but built a little bit slightly more like a point guard. So, I would have been a player that I think Arizona would have loved to have had in their 2025 class, but obviously, he chooses to play for USC and Eric Musselman, who just took over for the Trojans over there. So just kind of initial thoughts, Kevin, on Alijah Arenas picking USC over Arizona.
My initial thought was a lot of pain, Damon, just a lot of unfortunate feelings, because I really did think that Alijah Arenas was destined for McHale Center, and I thought that it was a match made in heaven, right? But sometimes these things don't work out the way we think they're going to work out, and this is one of those situations where, sometimes maybe Eric Musselman just flex his muscle to flex the pun there. But I think that this is a situation where Alijah Arenas is trying to, like you said pre-show, you and I were talking about it, blaze his own path. And I think remain local to California. This is a California kid, right? This is someone who's grown up with. I know that his father went to Arizona, and I know that I'm sure that the Arizona merch is prevalent in the home. But this is someone who grew up a lot closer to USC, and I'm sure is very influenced by that campus. As he said, when he visited campus, Eric Musselman showed him everything that could be in the palm of his hands if he performed at USC. And He said that was the deciding factor, the potential of what could be. This is a player who's the #1 ranked shooting guard in the class of 2025 per 24/7 Sports. He can kind of do it all on offense to an extent. And from what I read, he's in the midst of a growth spurt as well. You said he's kind of built like a point guard. For how long is he going to be built like a point guard, Damon? He's getting a little taller, literally by the day.
Yeah, he's already taller than Gil, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that this when you watch him play, his offensive moves are so smooth because he has so many counters in his bag, right? If he does one of his moves, but the defense reacts positively, he has a counter for that. And I think that is what kind of had me so disappointed that Tommy Lloyd in Arizona couldn't secure Alijah Arenas, because he's a hell of a player, Damon. But not only that, he's a hell of a coachable player. He wants to develop. He wants to get better. You can see Gilbert out there coaching him pregame sometimes when he's at his games and showing him how to work, certain turnaround moves. We've seen that, and I've seen that in highlights. And yeah, this is a disappointing one, Damon. I really thought that Alijah Arenas would be coming to Arizona, but hopefully Arizona can secure Koa Pete and Braden Burries to make up for this. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. We're going to talk about if Tommy Lloyd has a recruiting problem here in a second, but this is definitely one that you wanted to have for sure.
Yeah, I think Arizona fans, kind of like I mentioned earlier in the show, really penciled him in, I think, in this recruiting class. Just the last name alone, made it where a lot of Arizona fans were kind of maybe counting their chickens a little bit before they hatched. And
maybe I did.
No, I think we're all guilty of it. But as you mentioned, Arizona's class, not completely dead in the water. We'll get into that in a second. I just wanted to say that on Alijah, I think, Gilbert mentioned a couple of times throughout this recruitment that he was kind of pushing Alijah in the direction of Arizona, and that he would love to see Alijah play at his alma mater as well. But just didn't work out that way. And I think we mentioned, he's from Los Angeles, like he's an LA kid. I think staying home probably had a lot to do with this, kind of blazing his own path. One thing I thought was interesting, I was looking through all their USC pictures that they took. Gilbert Arenas not in any of those pictures. Basically, Alijah's entire rest of his family in those pictures, but not Gilbert.
Can't be seen. Can't be seen. Won't be caught dead in a USC kit. I love
disgusting.
that. I love that.
But yeah, and then you watch the announcement, and on the
that was really
on
cool.
Gilbert Arenas' podcast. What is it?
It's Gil's Arena.
Gil's Arena.
I believe so.
That is exactly
he has two.
What it is.
He has No Chill Gil, and he has Gil's Arena.
It is on Gil's Arena,
but it's on Gil's Arena.
And the guy hosting it, forgive me, I don't know his name, but he's wearing a UCLA basketball jersey at the commitment, and then Alijah opens up his quarter zip, and he's got a USC jersey on underneath. I thought that was pretty hilarious, because then they pan back and the dude in the UCLA
doing the face palm.
Yeah, he was just sick to his stomach.
Damon, I thought the funniest part about that was unless he was acting, which I mean he could have been, but it seemed like Gilbert Arenas genuinely had no idea who. Because for those that didn't see the video, they're sitting around in a round table situation. Alijah Arenas says, "I have a big announcement. I'm gonna announce my commitment." He FaceTimes a coach, right? No one knows who he's FaceTiming. Gilbert Arenas is like really trying to overlook his shoulder, be like, "Who are you calling?" Because I don't know who's.
You think he didn't know?
It didn't seem like he knew, but maybe he had like. I'm assuming Alijah gave him some pointers, like some hints, maybe. But I think maybe it was really like a 50-50 for Gilbert. Like, oh, is he gonna call Tommy Lloyd? Is he gonna call Eric Musselman? And I think that was a really cool part of the little video they had where, they reveal it's Eric Musselman, and Eric Musselman's like, "Let's go, Alijah, let's go." And I it was a really cool video. I wish it was Tommy Lloyd instead of Eric Musselman. But that was a really unique way to announce a commitment, Damon.
It really was. Eric Musselman, a fantastic recruiter, one of the best recruiters in the country. I was looking right now real quick, seeing if I could find it. But, Arkansas always had incredible basketball recruiting classes. I mean, that'll continue with, Coach Calipari now in the fold, and just kind of how he recruits at the level that he does. But I just, Arkansas they were always a program that was contending for the top dogs when it came to transfers in particular. But I think it just showed that Eric Musselman he's at that level with the top recruiters in the country. And, maybe as Arizona fans, we should have taken a little bit more of a step back when he took the USC job and left Arkansas for USC. Just because, I think it provides somewhat of a roadblock for Arizona on the West Coast with a guy like Alijah Arenas. If Andy Enfield is the coach at USC right now, and that's not to say Andy Enfield never got, top recruits, because he got guys like Evan Mobley and whatnot consistently. He was always getting, big time recruits at USC, but I don't think Elijah Arenas is committing to Andy Enfield over Tommy Lloyd. I think Eric Musselman makes that a little bit of an easier kind of pill to swallow there. I'm looking at Arkansas's classes now, and I don't exactly know when it got taken over by Calipari and when it got, when it was Eric Musselman, but they had the number 3 overall class in 2024. They had the number 12 overall class in 2023. I mean, they're sitting around, that the elite of the elite programs when it comes to recruiting classes under Eric Musselman. So, this is not exactly like, I don't look at Tommy Lloyd and say like, man, he can't nail down the big one. But it is a little bit like raise your eyebrows for concern, I'd say. Like, we have it on pause, panic button sitting on the table, Kevin. We're not pressing it. We're not even really looking at it too much
but
yet.
It's there.
But it's just here.
It exists.
It's here.
Yeah.
And the way in which that Arizona fans can kind of feel better about that panic button situation, Tommy Lloyd and his recruiting, is with, the aforementioned Koa Pete and Braden Burries, 2 5-star recruits. Koa Pete, 5-star from Arizona, power forward. Probably the gem of this class for Tommy Lloyd, I would argue. And then Braden Burries, a combo guard, 6'4", plays for the Strive for Greatness team with one Bryce James. Something to monitor there. Just connecting some dots here and there. And Koa Pete also I believe he's a client of Clutch Sports, which is Rich Paul, LeBron James's best friend's agency. So also connecting some dots. Very possible that getting Bryce James could be the catalyst, Kevin. We've talked about it before in terms of getting Koa Pete and Braden Burries. But what do you see in those guys? And if Tommy Lloyd is able to net those guys, are you willing to just say like, hey, I know this is the son of an former Arizona legend. I know we really wanted the Elijah Arenas story in Tucson, but I'm willing to kind of put my hands up and say, Tommy Lloyd, you got the job done. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, I tweeted it yesterday with the dude from City Hall, that meme. I was like, I still think Tommy Lloyd can recruit. I don't think that this is, the end-all, be-all not getting Elijah Arenas. I think it's a cautionary flag, right? It's not quite, like you said, it's not quite the panic button red flag.
Yeah.
But this is like an orange flag. This is a situation where it's like, okay, it seems like from a fan's perspective that this would be a layup recruitment, but it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? We still have yet to know why it didn't happen. But I think that if, it's January 31st, Damon, I like the recruitment is not done. I think people should calm down about Tommy Lloyd, having a recruiting problem and, he can't recruit. He doesn't know how to recruit high school talent. He's only good at recruiting, mid-European big men.
Yep.
I think that's all BS. I don't think I think it's fluff.
I'm with
it's
you.
real.
Look at Carter Bryant, man.
But I was about to say, if Tommy Lloyd, though, cannot start to compile some more depth to these classes, I think I will start to kind of look at him with a bit of a side eye. Because if you go back and look at the last 2 classes, Damon, I think it's just like 2 players in the last class, Carter Bryant and Emmanuel Stephen. And then before that, only 1 domestic player, and KJ Lewis was the one before that, I believe. And if Tommy Lloyd cannot secure Koa Pete and or Braden Burries, I'm going to kind of be giving them the side eye here, Damon, because you have to be able to secure top flight talent if you're going to win in college basketball. I'm not saying you have to go have the number 1 class to win the national title. That's not at all what I'm saying. But if you're at Arizona, you had better be able to secure at least Damon, a 5-star every not every year, but you got to be able to bring one in. I'm just saying not every year you're going to be able to. Fair. If Damon Dog is saying it, I'll co-sign it too.
Sean Miller was getting a 5-star damn near every year.
You're right. You actually are right. You are right.
I mean, not early on in his tenure, and I think you'll give Tommy Lloyd a little bit of time to settle in. But
that's what I was going to say. That
and I trust Tommy Lloyd's scouting and his staff's ability to find a gem in Europe or a 4-star guy who really fits the system. But they need that top flight talent. But I will go back to Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant was one of those guys. Arizona got Carter Bryant. He's in Tucson. He's coming off the bench playing in Tucson. So you want to talk about depth? Tommy got a guy to buy in. A potential 5-star recruit ended up being a 4-star, but a 4-star recruit to buy in to coming off the bench and not being a starter right away when Carter Bryant would start essentially almost everywhere else in the country. I think like I said, Kevin, the panic button is on the table. I think you need Koa Pete in particular.
Totally agree.
I think the sky
non-negotiable.
Falls. Yeah, the sky falls if Koa Pete does not come to Arizona. Just because I think of his name, his stature, his him being from Arizona.
If he doesn't go to Arizona, Damon, where is he going to go?
Houston, ASU, teams that we are.
Thank you.
Like our top contenders in terms of, not that ASU is one of our top contenders, but that obviously would sting a little bit more just given that it's ASU. Houston, probably our top competition as far as the last 3 years show or whatever, in terms of Big 12 play. Like they look like the team to beat, the program to beat as long as Kelvin Sampson is there.
You cannot let Kelvin Sampson get Koa Pete. If you let Kelvin Sampson get Koa Pete, he's going to become like a different beast.
What do you think Koa Pete looks like after one off season spending time with Kelvin Sampson in Houston? He's definitely like tatted head to toe, right?
I don't even think
he's got a beard.
I think he just looks like what's that? They have a dude that usually has braids. But
he looks like Nick Richards. We already been over this. All of a sudden, Koa Pete.
It's gonna end up as Nick Richards.
Yeah, he ends up. He's just full Nick Richards mode of Nick Richards of the Suns. That'd be pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't want to see that happen.
No,
we don't want to see that. We don't want to see Koa Pete's transition into being just an absolute dog of a basketball player that looks like he's 30 years old. I want Koa Pete to look like Carter Bryant, which is like a nice young buck putting on the Arizona uniform. Kind of got the baby face going on. I feel like Koa Pete and Carter Bryant. But yeah,
I still think Carter Bryant should go back to the cornrows, but that's neither here nor there.
That'd be fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's where you sit. Koa Pete, necessity. Braden Burry's cherry on top. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And then if Braden Burry's doesn't come, you work on trying to get this guy. It's not over. There's obviously the transfer portal you could fall back on at the end of the day, but you work on getting Jaden Bradley back. You work on getting potentially KJ Lewis back because he hasn't had maybe the jump in season that you would have expected from KJ Lewis. So there's contingency plans to Braden Burry's, but I think Koa Pete, absolute necessity, Kevin.
Koa Pete is an absolute necessity, Damon. And I think you brought up Carter Bryant as a prime example of why players might look at Tommy Lloyd and say, okay, I might want to tag along to Tommy Lloyd's squad. I think that the longer Tommy Lloyd is at Arizona, I think the better his recruiting classes are going to be. I think year over year, we're going to see improvement and growth from Tommy Lloyd's recruitment because I think players are going to look up and see players like Carter Bryant, players like Henry Vasar, players like KJ Lewis, what he's able to do and how patient he's been with Caleb Love. I think that people and players specifically are going to look at the type of coach that Tommy Lloyd is, the type of development that he can get out of players and say, well, because if you're a high recruit, you're thinking, well, I'm better than so-and-so. And look what Tommy Lloyd got out of so-and-so. I can do that. And so I think that more recruits will look at Tommy Lloyd as a prime, coach they want to coach for the longer he's at Arizona to prove himself as a high-level coach. I think some of these other coaches have had more experience to lean on, more experience to sell kids on. And I think that's part of this. I'm not saying it's all of it, but I think the longer Tommy Lloyd recruits, the more successful he will be.
Yeah, no, I think like you look at a guy like Eric Musselman, he's a very charming guy, and he might have that over a Tommy Lloyd. But I think Tommy Lloyd is a very realistic coach, right? And I do believe that it takes a special level of buy-in. And this is going to sound so snooty, Kevin, as I talk about it. But just like I trust more in a guy like Carter Bryant and his long-term ability to develop because he bought into Tommy Lloyd. I don't know if that's like an oversimplified way of looking at it, but I think that it shows the right mentality. Carter Bryant listened to Tommy Lloyd, who's one of the best coaches in the country, said, hey, maybe you're not going to be the star of this team right away, but this is a long process and we want to get you to your absolute ceiling in the NBA. And I think that Tommy Lloyd provides that. So when I see somebody kind of buy into maybe this isn't going to be, the role I could play at a smaller school or at a worse program, I do believe that it leads to the premier development of this person's skill set, i.e. Carter Bryant in this particular example. So if Koa Pete chooses Arizona, I feel a lot different about Koa Pete personally than I do about Koa Pete if he chooses ASU, because then I think he's kind of unserious. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, you're right.
No, that's totally where I'm at with it. I feel like maybe it's kind of a self-centered, in my own bubble way of looking at it as an Arizona fan, but I really do feel like when guys don't want to come here, good riddance. That's like all power and glory to you. I wish Elijah Arenas the best. If maybe it doesn't work out and he wants to transfer to Tucson, I'd be open to that, right? But
transfer as if Elijah Arenas is going to be in college for more than 1 year.
well, that's what I'm saying. If things don't work out,
That's fair.
that's why I prefaced it by saying that.
No, that's fair. I still think I still think he's destined to be one and done. Even if
I agree.
Even if things don't work out, like I think he'll just take a flyer.
What if he gets hurt?
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios in which
that's the one situation I could see him staying in college for more than 1 year. If, knock on wood, God forbid, he did get injured, I could see him returning. You know what I mean? But I just think this is a one and done. But I do understand you.
Listen,
I do understand that you prefaced it with that. I do
I'm saying that, like, this is I feel comfortable about the guys that want to be here. The guys that want to be in the building, that's who I want to have playing under Tommy Lloyd. It's a little bit different with Arizona football. I'm willing to take, some risks on some higher profile guys that maybe had character concerns or, maybe got pushed out by a bigger program or something like that. Like I'm willing to kind of overextend in that regard. But at Arizona basketball, man, I just feel like this is such a big program that it's like we can find guys that want to be here that are talented enough. And if you don't want that, then that's fine. I wish you the best, but I'm not too concerned as of now about Tommy Lloyd's 2025 recruiting class.
I am not concerned as of yet. If he does not get co-opete, I'll be very concerned. But yeah, I think you're right on the money there, Damon. You want players that want to play for Arizona specifically. You want players that fit what you're trying to do if you're Tommy Lloyd. And unfortunately, if that's not Elijah Arenas, so be it, right? You'd rather have someone who fits over someone who just has a name of someone who used to fit.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that is the key in all of this, is that maybe there just wasn't a fit. Because Elijah Arenas is a ball-dominant player, right? Elijah Arenas is, I'm not saying he's selfish at all, but I'm saying Elijah Arenas is a player who still wants to score.
He needs the ball in his hands.
Still wants to get his. Still wants to show his skill set.
Yeah.
Show scouts what he can really do with a lot of usage. That's probably not going to happen at Arizona because it's such a team-focused system, right? Arizona has multiple players that at any one night can score 10-plus points. USC might not be organized that way, right? And I think that the usage that he's going to get at USC, Elijah Arenas I'm speaking about, is going to be drastically higher than the usage he would have got at Arizona, I'm assuming. And I think that probably plays a portion of it, too. I think Dick Wilson said it here in the chat. Do you think that Tommy Lloyd's handling of Carter Bryant and his sitting for a bad transfer player, shout out Trey Townsend, is affecting recruits' decisions? I don't think it's that aspect of it, but I do think it's they might utilize me less because they have a less ball-dominant system. Right, I think
that's fair.
I think that's more impactful to recruits than the way he handles the Bryant versus Townsend thing. Because I think recruits look at it like I'm better than both of them, so he's going to play me over them. Like
I agree with exactly what you're saying, Kevin. But that's where it goes back to my point. Whereas if you're looking at it saying I can be more ball dominant at USC rather than playing a more in place system that Tommy Lloyd has in place, that's going to kind of squeeze all the juice out of my abilities and make me give me my ceiling as a player, like, then I don't want that player at Arizona. That's genuinely where I'm at with it. So, like, I agree with you. Cade Cunningham went to Oklahoma State, got a ton of shots up. Ben Simmons went to LSU. I'm sure that was a great time. Markelle Fultz went to Washington. That was, an electric season of college basketball for Markelle Fultz. All three of those guys did not sniff the NCAA tournament. And, you can still be a high draft pick like all three of those guys were, number one overall, and not, make the NCAA tournament. But that's not the type of player that I want at my college program. I want a guy, and I'm not saying Elijah Arenas is that guy. We're talking in generalities here, but I want somebody who is going to, want to buy into Tommy Lloyd's system. And that's where I think a guy like Carter Bryant is so special from a mentality standpoint, willing to sit on the bench. That's the type of player I want Tommy Lloyd to get. I don't think that while we are Arizona and we should be getting a 5-star recruit or competing for them every cycle, as we talked about earlier, Kevin, I do think that there's a little bit of Gonzaga to this program. I kind of want the mix of both worlds, where we're bringing in developmental guys that are going to stay here for 3-4 seasons, that love Arizona, that, maybe are a little bit under the radar more so. Not that Gonzaga is recruiting, bums, but they're still 4-5-star recruits at times, just guys that buy in. And that's what I think I want at Arizona. People that specifically buy into Tommy Lloyd, that specifically buy into Arizona. Did you have any final thoughts here on Elijah Arenas before we move on?
No, I guess I'll just real quick summarize it by saying that I don't think Tommy Lloyd, to be clear, I don't think he has a recruiting problem. I think he's a coach that is great at the locker room and on court stuff and is still developing as a domestic recruiter specifically.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Lloyd kills it in the transfer portal. I think he kills it overseas, and I think that you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have areas where you need to develop in. I think you're right on the money there. It's gonna be Gonzaga plus. I think a little bit the recruiting style.
That's the way I look at it, man.
You want to pair stars with role players as if you're in the NBA almost. You know what I mean? Have your two guys that whether it's Caleb Love and Jaden, whatever, whoever you want to pick, right? You have two star quality guys, and then a bunch of other guys who are contributors and guys who can develop
a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. But in general, I think you're right on the money there, that Arizona needs to be recruiting hard for these top-end talents and then supplanting them with guys that can fit the system and want to play here. And I think that's the key here. So, yeah, while it's disappointing Elijah Arenas is going to USC, it's not the end of the world.
Yep. I want to take a second, Kevin, to shout out everybody here in the chat. Got some new names here in the chat and just wanted to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Leave a like on this video for sure. Kevin, have you been getting some decent sleep, or how's that been going?
I actually got the best night of my sleep in a while. Wednesday, sleeping into yesterday. So
nice.
Yeah,
it was all due to the likes on the video being out where you needed it.
It was due to everyone in the chat participating and liking the video.
The fine people,
just everyone, all the family in the chat. I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
They are our family. Dick, BTFD, Edgar, Andrew. Would you mind scrolling up for me here?
Yeah, sorry.
Brian, Erica, of course, always here. June, of course, actual family. David, shout out everybody in the chat here. Like I said, if you're in this chat, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel. Does us wonders. Kevin, we're going to talk about some sponsors on this fine program right after the break on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Well, Damon, one of those fine sponsors is our friends over at Spinato's. And if you have not checked out Spinato's Pizza, it is probably, what, Damon, the best in all the Valley? I mean, I think it is the best in the Valley. It literally does not get better than Spinato's, Damon, dog. And if you are a Suns fan, Spinato's is the best place to be. You get pizza, you get Suns games, maybe even meet a Suns dancer or the gorilla. That sounds like the best time of my life, Damon. And if you also are experienced in basketball, you've played horse before, but at Spinato's, they've remixed it over to pizza. So you spell pizza instead of horse. I mean, it's very on brand. How much more can you love that? You can also win free pizza for a year and tickets to the Suns game on April 9th. Literally free tickets and free pizza. That is insane. So don't miss the chance to be a part of the action. Get all the info on the watch parties and pizza basketball contests at SpinatosPizzeria.com. Spinato's, official pizza of the Phoenix Suns and the official pizza of PHNX. I'll say that.
Definitely the official pizza of PHNX, the official car dealership with our friends are over at Sanderson Ford, our friends over in Glendale, I should say. Sanderson Ford, the largest Ford dealership in the entire country, and just good people over there. I mentioned that the chat is family. Sanderson Ford is family because we went over there. They actually are fans of PHNX, Kevin. It was a little bit, tiny bit before we brought you on, I believe, when we went over there.
It was
like
really,
maybe like a week.
Yeah, it was literally like 2 weeks or a week before.
Yeah. Well, we went over there, Kevin. They are viewers of our shows here at this company. They love PHNX, and that's why they wanted to partner with us, because they just wanted to kind of get their foot in the door in the sports media space. They love our teams here in Arizona, and they love just giving back to the community as well. All types of name brand charities here in the state of Arizona that they help out with. Sanderson Ford, like I said, just great people that you want to go support as well when you go buy a car, because you don't want that kind of slimy dealership kind of approach to buying a car. You want to feel like these people actually care about you, and they do over at Sanderson Ford. I'm going to go head over there, get myself a new Bronco, Kevin, because that's the dream. That's the dream car. Once I build up the financial acumen a little bit better, I'm going to head on over to Sanderson
I was like,
Ford.
Is this a today thing?
No,
I was like,
no,
well, damn, Damon, dog.
It's on the bucket list. It is on the bucket list. Yeah, you were wondering how much that I was getting paid here for a second.
Yeah, Damon, real quick, Damon sometimes sees me online shopping and goes, how much do we pay you?
Genuinely.
Right? And that was one of those moments where it's like, Damon,
Well,
Today?
Kevin, because it'll be every other week, and you'll be like, I got 6 things in my cart, and I'll be
still in the
like,
cart though. That's the key. They're still in the cart.
I'm like, how is it every week we have a new 6 to 8 things in the cart? That's not adding up mathematically for me.
Window shopping, Damon. Window shopping.
Fair enough. You could go window shopping with our friends at Sanderson Ford, but you're going to want to, once you test drive one of those bad boys, to drive out with it as your new vehicle. Head on over to Sanderson Ford for the best deals in 2025. Choose Sanderson for a no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience that and get more for your trade-in with easy on-the-spot financing. Drive into the new year in a new Ford from Arizona's most awarded Ford dealership. That's Sanderson Ford. Like I said, if you are in this chat, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Helps us out so much. And yeah, keep up the chats. Kevin and I love getting the chats involved that are kind of relevant to our discussion. Throw them up on screen. Kind of use you guys as in a way, it's like our version of taking calls. You know, Kevin, it's like back in the old sports radio days. You'd have call-ins. We have our chat that we like to kind of highlight and take opinions from time to time. So make sure you guys are locked in on that still. Kevin, I am locked in on the NFL draft.
Oh yeah,
the NFL
Damon
draft means everything to me. I love the NFL draft. Every year, dude. This is just like my time of year. It's my time to shine. I don't know why I love it so much, but I really do. We're gonna be heading out doing lots of draft coverage throughout this offseason over at PHNX Cardinals as well. But I want to start off, Kevin. They've been doing some of these all-star bowl games that they do. For players that are draft eligible, that are trying to kind of up their draft profile headed in. Not a lot of first round prospects in these type of events, but you do see guys that kind of sneak their way into the first round. You see a guy like Mike Green at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, which I'm so sad that I'm not at this year. He dominated practice and then just picked up his things and left. I'm not even kidding. He didn't even play. He was like, I'm not playing the game. He went to practice. You have to find this clip if you haven't seen it yet, guys. Look up Mike Green, Marshall. He bulldozes an Oregon offensive lineman. Just knocks him straight over, bull rushes him. Guy way bigger than him. And then I'm pretty sure right after that, he unstrapped his helmet, took his gloves off, took his shoulder pads off, and was just like, that's enough for me.
I've done my job here.
Yep.
Good day's work.
I want to start off here at the Shrine Bowl, Kevin. They got the East-West Shrine Bowl. And Arizona's one representative in the East-West Shrine Bowl, Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Who, not sure if you guys are really even familiar with Jacory Croskey-Merritt because we only got to see him play in one game of action for the Wildcats last year. He was the presumed starting running back for Arizona, transfer from New Mexico, and was one of the best running backs in the country at New Mexico in 2023. In that one game, as I mentioned, he had 13 carries for 106 yards and 1 touchdown against actually his former ball club, New Mexico, which is, ironic in and of itself, but was then denied by the NCAA in terms of eligibility for the remainder of the season. Arizona was under the impression that he was fine. Really weird recruitment, if you remember looking back on it, Kevin. He committed to Arizona, decommitted from Arizona, committed to Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I believe, got wind that he might not be eligible, decommitted from Ole Miss, committed back to Arizona, played in a game for Arizona because he was deemed eligible, and then was deemed ineligible for the remainder of the season, remaining 11 games. Feel for a guy like that when the NCAA tells him he's fine and then, rips that away from him. But Jacory Croskey-Merritt, 106 yards or 97 yards. Sorry, 106 yards was his lone game at Arizona. 97 yards in the East-West Shrine Bowl, offensive MVP of the East-West Shrine Bowl, 2 touchdowns, was killing it all week at practice. Kind of made a name for himself, Kevin. And it just kind of begs the question, how different would Arizona football's season gone last year in the first year of Brent Brennan if their number one running back, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, was available to the Wildcats?
I mean, it's undeniable, excuse me, to say it wouldn't have been better. It would have been better.
Is that enough to get you to 6 wins?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how much better would it really have been? It's hard to say, though, right? Because there were so many issues last year, and it wasn't just while yes, the run game was disappointing. Like in JCM's absence, Arizona averaged 97.6 rushing yards per game, just under 100, and ranked 120th out of 134 FBS teams in run production total. So I think, while yes, JCM, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, aka Bill, would have really, really helped out that run game. It would have probably upped the production from 120 to top 100, probably, right? But how many wins does that equate for? Because he's not playing defense. Because he can't sub in for Manu.
Hear me out.
You know what I mean, though? Like, it would have been better, but how much better, really?
Yeah, well, hear me out. I'll lay it out for you here. Well, first off, I just want to say I do believe, like, Quilly Conley, decent player, did the job. Not a guy at a power 4 level who's going to really move the needle. I think he was very average, and I'll look back on Quilly Conley and think, he had a good season at Arizona. It wasn't his fault that things really fell off the rail, but Jacory Croskey-Merritt, in my opinion, is a good running back, if not a great one. So I think that's where you go from Quilly Conley went from your 2, he's decent, and he was your 2, to now he's average and he's your 1. And, you had borderline an elite college running back that it just didn't work out for. But hear me out here, Kevin. You beat New Mexico, right? You beat NAU, you're 2-0. You lose to Kansas State, you're 2-1. I don't think that game changes. Obviously, Arizona gets blown out there 31-7 in Manhattan. You're 2-1. You beat Utah. You're 3-1, right? You're going into this Texas Tech game, and I'll tell you what, as an Arizona football fan and as big of an Arizona football fan as I am, that was one of the most painful Arizona football games to watch that I have ever experienced in my entire life, if not number one. That was such a winnable football game. I've never seen a team shoot themselves in the foot as much as Arizona did versus Texas Tech. I think that game is a W if Croskey-Merritt's on the team. Because I think Arizona did about 20 things that they had to do to lose that game, ending with T-Mac, the best player on the team, fumbling in field goal range when Arizona has a chance to take the lead at the end of the game. So I think Arizona wins that football game if Croskey-Merritt's on the team at that point. That puts you up 4-1, Kevin. 4-1, needing 2 wins in your final 7 to make bowl eligibility. I know it sounds crazy, but I genuinely think that might be the difference between making a bowl game in Brent Brennan's first season and the disaster that was 2024.
I can't prove you wrong, Damon Dog. I can't come on here and say it wouldn't have happened if JCM was actually out there, and it's a plausible case that you lie out, right? It's a case that I can think there's some credence to, right? But I also think that Edgar Ortiz brought up the elephant in the room. Is Dino Babers still calling plays for JCM? Because if that's the case, is he even going to utilize him correctly? Or is it just going to be ineffective play calling that he does no better than Quilly Conley in the system, right? I mean, I'm sure he would have done better than Quilly Conley in the system. But that's my point, right? Is if we're fifths, we'd all be drunk, right, Damon? And I think that right now, watching JCM do what he did in the Shrine Bowl has us all kind of thinking and remembering back, like, oh, he only had 13 carries, put up 106 yards and a tud. Like, what could he have done with 130 carries, 200? However many carries you wanted to give him. It's credit to JCM for making all of us remember. Because I think it was a y'all must have forgot kind of moment for JCM, I think, in the Shrine Bowl, and credit to him to it. But I don't know if he would have been the difference for Arizona between making a bowl and not making a bowl, Damon. I'm unsure, but I'm not saying, I can't say you're wrong. It's a decent case that you've laid out. I'm just not sure if it's right. You know what I mean?
I do feel you in Edgar's point. Dino Babers, obviously we've talked about it. It might have been the most egregious single coaching hire of, a coordinator that I remember in Arizona program history. Just the worst of the worst. Genuinely probably the worst offensive coordinator in the country last season.
It was bad. It was so bad.
I think running back of all positions, and I know blocking scheme matters and your offensive line matters a lot to this, but I think college it matters a little bit less than the pros, where that kind of having a good O-line kind of makes the run game entirely. I think when you have an elite college running back, the floor of your offense is so drastically different because, as David puts in the chat here, or it wasn't David, sorry, Dick puts in the chat here, you keep the offense on the field longer. You get the defense rested more when your run game's working. Arizona had next to no run game this year in big moments. I think Croskey-Merritt changes that to making it at least an average run game. And I really do, you look at that. I think they win that Texas Tech game. I think you're 4-1. They killed Houston. That's your 5th win. I don't think that changes. And all of a sudden, you need one more game out of the entire rest of your schedule to go bowl eligible. I look at this West Virginia game at home that they lose by 5, and I say to myself, I think that's the one. I think that you win that game. You beat Texas Tech. Those are the 2 wins right there that Croskey-Merritt gets you. And I think that Arizona does get bowl eligible last season. But lot of what ifs with Arizona football,
What could
Kevin.
have been?
Yeah,
what could have been?
lots of what ifs. It is interesting, but we will be rooting for Jacory Croskey-Merritt, and I think he is repping Arizona, even though he only played one game for Arizona, and I do believe that Arizona's coaching staff and whatnot has been very, very supportive of him. Was supportive when he was deemed ineligible, and did their best to kind of console him in that regard, and now is supporting him and giving him retweets and all sorts of love on social media. Given being in the East West Shrine Bowl, looking at his helmet here, Kevin.
Yeah, I was
he has
bring
an
that up,
Arizona helmet on, New Mexico logo on this side, Arizona logo on that side.
Yeah, that was pretty confusing to me until I saw that 2 highlights, because the first highlight I saw was from the left side of the field, and he had the Arizona logo on, and then I saw the second highlight from the right side, and he had the New Mexico logo on. I was like, what is going on here? But I thought that was a pretty cool touch. That was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And I think it's if Duke can claim Kyrie Irving, why can't Arizona claim JCM?
Arizona ended Kyrie Irving's Duke career, by the way.
Yeah.
In that Derek Williams game that I brought up on Wednesday's show. Just a little fun fact.
Yeah, so if they can claim Kyrie, we can claim JCM, and that's how I feel about it. But I think if a player, plays at least a game, touches the campus, touches the field or court, whatever, that's your player. You can claim him. And so, yeah, Damon, it's exciting. And JCM's talked a lot about, in the post game stuff about how this is him kind of thinking about what could have been himself. Like, right, he's also thought about what this year could have been, his 6th and final year in college football, what it could have been with Arizona. I'm sure he would have loved to show out in that offense that, like you alluded to, needed him badly. And yeah, that must have been a tough watch for him, especially, and those coaches that brought him in.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I do believe, Edgar, that he probably did get paid. And honestly, I hope he did, because it helps him out more than the people whose pockets, had the money in the first place. Those people don't need any extra money. And, this is a guy who might not even be drafted. I think this goes a long way in terms of helping him get drafted, because he didn't play at all this season. He has no game tape to show coaches. All he has is his New Mexico Mountain West film to go back on. But
and
if he
Alabama
can go to
A&M, like
that doesn't do anything.
No,
for me.
that's what I'm saying.
But
that's what I'm saying.
If you go back on and watch, he dominates Shrine Bowl practices. He dominates the Shrine Bowl game. That will go a long way in terms of NFL scouts getting a good look at him. Another guy, Kevin, that and a little bit more of an Arizona legend here at the end of the day, that is kind of making a name for himself more so than he already has at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, which is probably the biggest profile of all of these all-star games that happen post-bowl season. Jonah Savaiinaea is playing a lot of offensive line, kicking inside to guard. That's been a lot of the noise and the buzz around the Senior Bowl in Mobile. Big Jonah looks pretty good in Mobile, Kevin. Looks like Arizona is going to have another Wildcat representing them probably a starter as a rookie at the pro level. Guy who's projecting to be about a 2nd-round pick right now.
He looked incredible, Damon. I was seeing videos of him just absolutely throwing guys around out there. I saw highlights of I saw someone post a highlight that was supposed to be focused on a different lineman, but Jonah Savaiinaea's performance in that rep was so strong that they were like, oh yeah, and also watch Jonah Savaiinaea just absolutely wreck this guy that he's matched up with.
Alabama player.
Yeah, that's who it was. And I think that he's starting to, Arizona's starting to create like a little bit of a continued continuity between linemen of past, kind of pushing the 1st-round ballot onto the next one, because he's trying to get that draft protection up into the 1st round. Damon, he's currently projected to be a top 40 pick by some people over at ESPN, specifically Jordan Reed, who wrote about a Wednesday recap of the standout performances. He mentioned Savaiinaea by saying he primarily played at left tackle on Tuesday, worked more at guard on day 2, showing the power and anchor that he's known for. Reed has the 6'4", 339-pounder ranked as a guard because of those 2 traits. And based on what he has shown so far in Mobile, Savaiinaea is likely to be a top 40 pick, Damon.
Yeah. Feels a little bit similar to kind of the buzz around Jordan Morgan around this time. Jordan Morgan, I had the opportunity to go to the Senior Bowl last year and speak to Jordan Morgan out there. And he was a guy who was projected to be kind of an early 2nd-round pick for much of the draft process. Packers on draft night pick him in the late 1st round, and he gets that 5th-year option that's a big factor of that, Kevin. That helps especially with offensive linemen. It's such a premier position in the NFL these days. Teams want that 5th-year option that you only get from being a first-round pick, because if that player projects to be the star that you want them to be coming out of the first round, that 5th year is going to be at a much cheaper value than that extension that you're going to have to sign them to in the future. A good example of this would be, Trey McBride for the Cardinals. He just finished his 4th year. He's going to get extended this offseason, or he just finished his 3rd year, but he's eligible for an extension finally this offseason. If he was a first-round pick, they wouldn't need to extend him this offseason. They would have an extra year to do so. But yeah, I think that helps Big Jonah. I think that there's a chance he goes first round, and kind of this buzz is forming a little bit. What hurts him a little bit more, though, Kevin, is he is a guard. I think most people are projecting him as a guard at the next level. And so tackles are a little bit more valuable. But his arm measurement, which is the main thing that they look at for tackles, was 71st percentile among all tackle measurements. So he could try to play tackle. I think it's more of an athleticism thing if they think he's better suited to kind of play that inside. But yeah, Jonas Savaiinaea making a name for himself more than he already had in Mobile for the Senior Bowl, and just, representing Arizona. Great dude. One of the guys of this like really special class that got brought in by Jed Fish in his first year. And you saw Brent Brennan out there, Kevin. You sent me a tweet yesterday, Brent Brennan taking a selfie with Jonah on the field. Just absolutely cheesing, taking some pictures. Then there's a more full body one. I don't know if you saw that one
too, yeah.
Jonah just looking like an absolute monster.
Oh my God.
In that picture.
Oh my goodness.
I would draft that guy in the first round. But yeah, you love to see that because like I said, I was out there in Mobile last year. Basically, like there's tons of just names out there in Mobile. You'll be filming in the stands where they allow media to film, and you'll look down and you'll be like, oh, look, there's John Lynch, 49ers GM. Oh, look, there's Ryan Poles, Bears GM. Oh, look, there's Jed Fish. I literally saw Jed Fish 2 weeks after he left Arizona for Washington last year in Mobile. And Bo Brock on PHNX Cardinals had to hold me back.
I was going to say, did you see red or what?
I was pretty upset, Kevin. You know me. Like I told Bo multiple times, I was like, it's taken almost everything inside of me to not walk up to him. I had a U of A hat on and just be like, hey, coach, you made a big mistake. And just kind of just thinly veiled threat of sorts to Jed Fish. You know what I mean?
Coach, you're not going to want to see this face again.
He's sleeping with one eye open at night in his Mobile hotel room after he sees me come by and pointing at the hat and going, I'm watching you. But
I'm pretty sure fish sleep with their eyes open anyway. So
good point.
Yeah,
it's a good point. But yeah, Jed Fish was out there. Kalen DeBoer, Alabama's head coach, out there. I saw. So like, there's just a lot of football people out there kind of making connections. It really helps to build those connections. I think we know if Jed Fish is there, it's a place that people are building connections because that's literally what he does. That's his the name of the game is networking, right? Yep. For Jed Fish. And so, Brent Brennan, I think we look at it, he seems to be more of a laid back personality. I think Brent Brennan now, you could look at it now and say, this is a guy who is maybe trying a little bit harder to get that networking side of things down. Gives me a little bit of positive energy, Kevin.
It gives me a whole lot of positive energy, Damon. But before we continue this wonderful podcast that we are ripping off today, can we just talk about, Jonas Savaiinaea, when he goes to the draft, Damon, is going to have to put on a hat. And we're going to talk more about Arizona athletics after we get done talking about some hats real quick, Damon Dog.
Yeah, let's talk about some hats.
Well, Damon Dog, one of the best hats you can ever put on your head is a branded Bills hat. They got the most comfortable hat in the entire game, Damon. I'm not just talking about one style of hat. They got truckers, they got fitteds, they got dad hats. They even have t-shirts and apparel, Damon. And they likely have it for your favorite team, the Arizona Wildcats. Anything you want, they got it. They even came to our office and said, Damon, Kevin, what do you guys think that we should do to represent Arizona better? We said old style Wilbur right there on the front of the hat right there. That would go really hard. But like I said, if you want some of the most comfortable
with the holster,
if you want some of the most comfortable headwear in the entire game, feel free to elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have partnerships with ASU U of A as a part of their campus collection as well. They have the exclusive campus collection down in the U of A school store with hats you cannot get online. I tried to get them online. You cannot. I told myself, oh, I'm not going to buy it here. I'm just going to buy it online because why would I do that? Was not available, only available in Tucson. That's because they're a local company, Damon. They're made right here in Arizona. They're originally made in Mesa. So check out brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
One staple of Arizona to another, Kevin. We're talking about our friends over at Circle K in the Valley, Kevin, in Tucson, anywhere in the state of Arizona. If you just pick up a rock and throw it about 100 yards in any direction, that's a far rock throw. 100 feet in any direction, you're probably going to hit a Circle K because that's how frequent Circle Ks show up on every corner. And that's why it's America's thirst stop, Kevin. I'm signed up for the Inner Circle. If you are an Inner Circle Rewards member, you get Polar Pops or Frosters for 79 cents every single day of the week, as well as deals on energy drinks, alcohol, cigarettes, kitchen items. You ever had the pizza there, Kevin? Pretty solid.
I did once. I did have a slice of pepperoni one time.
Yeah, no, solid stuff. Circle K Snacks, they got it all over at Circle K. It is the place to go when it comes to convenience stores. I love Circle K. It's where the people are at. I buy my gas from there all the time because I'm a member of the Inner Circle. You get 5 cents off per gallon when you're a premium member like myself every time you fill up. 3 cents off per gallon if you're not a premium member, still building up that status. And of course, when you first sign up, you get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, which is a lot of money, Kevin. That adds up. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Really easy to sign up. You can sign up at the pump for the Inner Circle Rewards membership. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Well, Kevin,
Damon.
Edgar puts here in the chat. I wanted to just highlight this comment real quick. It says, is Deuce going to be the next O-lineman in the movement of O-line U to, high quality draft picks from Arizona in this draft and the draft before coming out? I actually, you know what? I think I was looking at Alexander Deuce's profile right now. He's 6'7", over 300 pounds, playing guard, and he was a fairly highly touted recruit. And the guy was a freshman All-American according to PFF. So I think that certainly is in the cards. I don't know if he'll be. I'm not really hearing as much first, second round type of profile as I did with those guys from the moment that they kind of, stepped on campus. I guess Jordan Morgan was a little bit more of a slow cook. But yeah, Jonah was always kind of projected to be an NFL guy from the moment we saw him starting as a true freshman. I think Deuce he's definitely on the right track, and we'll see going into this year. I think this year will be a big tell in terms of, is he going to be that guy? One guy that, Arizona doesn't have anymore, unfortunately, Raymond Polito. I think he projected to be in that range. I've stood next to Raymond Polito as a true freshman, similar to Jonah. Sometimes with O-linemen, Kevin, you can just kind of tell. You can just kind of tell just by looking at their bodies, like, that's an NFL body. And I think Raymond Polito was that guy. He was like genuinely kind of skinny, and he was like 6'6", 300 pounds as a true freshman, and was like fairly skinny, like looked like a guy who was gonna, like, as he bulked up, keep like a good ab structure, even though he was like 330 pounds. And that's typically what NFL O-linemen look like. It's
unbelievable. Like, these are huge. And I mean this in a good way, the word I'm about to say. These are monstrous humans.
Yeah.
Like, these are just gigantic people. It's funny that, and this is a little bit of a side note, but you can redirect us really fast. But I was talking to the great Eric Day the other day about how when linemen retire, how quickly they shrink, and that people forget, like, oh, they're like humans. Like, they're supposed to be regular size.
They just have to pound calories, essentially.
Yeah, it was Andrew Whitworth, I think, that we were talking about, that used to be just absolutely massive, and now he's like just kind of jacked. Like, he's just regular jacked.
Yeah, definitely. That's typically what happens with O-linemen. Joe Thomas, same way. Mm-hmm. And then running backs, the opposite. Running backs all the time. Have you seen running backs after they retire, Kevin? Oh, bro, you're going to have to start looking up some of these dudes. Look at, like,
sounds funny.
Shady. Have you seen Shady McCoy?
I have. Oh my God, you're right.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
I mean, this is
like a known thing.
That's crazy.
That happens. Edgar also puts in the chat Rhino. I think that's another good shout. Rhino is is a guy that I think also kind of projects. Could he's gonna start at left tackle next season. Could have a really good season. Kevin, we're gonna talk some ASU basketball preview. But first, I think we have to knock out a couple more sponsors here. So let's hit those.
Well, Damon, one of those great sponsors is our friends over at Carol Royce. And if you are looking to buy a home, Damon, Carol Royce is, you're looking to buy a Bronco Badland. You might as well go buy a home too, my guy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You should hit up our friends over at Carol Royce. Make sure to call 480-776-5231 or visit their website as well. But the Carol Royce real estate team is family owned and operated right here in the Valley of the Sun. They have worked with over 12,000 homes and made sure that they got to the right place with the people that want to be in that home, Damon, because not only is Carol Royce one of the most trusted real estate groups in the Valley of the Sun, Damon, they provide written guarantees, not just some, slimy real estate agents that's just trying to get a house sold. They want to make sure that you love the house that you are purchasing. That's why choosing the right agent is a big decision, and too often you're left with doubts of whether you made the right choice. But you can rest easy knowing you're not just making the right choice, you're making a guaranteed choice. Love your home? Or Carol will literally buy it back, Damon. It's a crazy thing. But if you're looking to buy a home, your dream home, you've probably been looking on Zillow or Realtor.com. But with Carol Royce, they have houses, Damon, that aren't on those marketplaces. These are exclusive homes. Off the market. Not off the market, but offline, at least.
You told me exclusive. All of a sudden, it's like 100% more valuable in my mind.
No, that's true. Because everyone else is just doing their Googles and trying to find homes.
Yep.
No, Carol Royce is doing the footwork. They're putting work in for you, Damon. So if you are considering buying a home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of our listings and we'll buy your home for cash. Have questions, call us today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's Carol Royce, ROYSE team.com.
Yep. Go see our friends over at Carol Royce. Go see our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Kevin.
Let's go.
My favorite place in the Valley to gamble. I love my friends over at Wild Horse Pass. That's my location. Everyone knows that's my location, Kevin. I just, it's a good spot, man. I've
never heard you use the term location before.
Well, I like to abbreviate a lot of terms.
Ocation.
WHP. That's Wild Horse Pass. It's what we call it. Us frequenters of the fine casino that be over there in South Chandler. I love Wild Horse Pass. It's clean. It smells good. They got restaurants for every type of vibe, from upscale to low scale. Little fast food action. They got great table games. The minimums aren't too high. Everything about WHP is where I like to go. What I love. Head on over to Wild Horse Pass. They got right now a $5.9 million giveaway for the big game, Kevin. So here's how you enter. Free to play. Make your big game predictions. Score instant prizes from $5 to $100 and free bonus play while you play. $5.9 million grand prize if you answer all 26 questions correctly, and you win that jackpot, Kevin. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details or check out the link in the description below. I want to try to win that $5.9 million because that would be special. I'm
sure that would be really helpful towards you getting that Badlands and that Carol Royce home that you want.
Oh my God. Both of those would be first two purchases.
Yeah. You're going to go to Sanderson Ford to get the car, to drive over to talk to people at Carol Royce and then do some home tours. You can't get around the city without the car.
Yep.
Not really a walkable city. So,
no,
yeah.
See, we were doing a little thing earlier today in the office. Check out our socials for it later. What would you do with $800? Kevin, what would you do with $5.9 million?
David, you and I have spent a lot of money mentally in this office. I always ask people, like, if you got given $100 million, how would you spend it? Just like a nice little thought exercise. Damon's all responsible. I am a little less responsible, not totally irresponsible.
Well, because what were we talking? We were talking like, and by the way, if you're watching with our friends over with our streaming partners, head on over to gophnx.com. We're going to continue this party a little bit and finish up talking some ASU basketball real quick, previewing tomorrow's matchup against the Sun Devils in Tempe at McHale North. So, tune in for that as well. We'll have a post game for you tomorrow. But yeah, Kevin, so continuing our little conversation there. What was the number that we determined?
I think it was $10 million.
No, it was not 10 because it was like a little enough an amount of money where you were like
$1 million.
I think it was $1 million.
I think it was $1 million.
And you were talking about like spending like 800K of it. And I was like, dude, like we got it, like 1 million, like that's lasting us in today's day and age. 1 million's like, that's like, you know, if you're being conservative, that's about 15 years worth of money, Kevin.
I told Damon
conservatively, and that's you working in the that's also with you working on the side. Like we got to invest that money. We got to save that money up. That we can't just be spending a milli willy-nilly like that. This is not 2000. This is 2025, brother. $1 million means a whole lot less.
I told Damon I was probably going to buy a home, maybe a daily driver and then a fun driver, right? Not like the person, but the car. And then probably
it's just like that's
some jewelry.
If you're doing this in Phoenix, it's all gone after that home, pal.
I don't know, Damon. I don't really have like. I just want a home. You know,
I love a home.
So I think $1 million. I think I'm probably spending $500,000.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm buying myself a new Bronco Badlands over with our friends at Sanderson Ford. That's about probably $50K out the window, and then I'm probably investing like a good $900K of that, and the rest is spending money. And then we're just going about our business per usual.
I mean, I'm not going to knock your hustle. I'm not going to knock a man for wanting to invest money.
Listen, man, I also grind doesn't stop.
Yeah, I know.
I'll make you give me $100 million. I'll do this every day. I love it so much.
I agree.
I'm just locked in.
If I won the lottery tomorrow, I would still show up to work for sure.
All I do is talk sports.
I might look a lot cleaner. I might look a lot nicer if I won the lottery. I would still show up to work. Maybe with some nicer shoes.
I might be dripping a little bit harder. Yeah.
Facts. Hey, you're dripping pretty hard today, man. Kith, hey, you're dripping pretty hard today.
Oh, what, this guy?
Oh, yeah, that little thing. That's that little thing. That little thing you pulled out the closet today. That raggedy old piece of cloth you pulled out the closet today.
No doubt about it. Well, Kevin, let's talk a little bit of ASU before we end things here.
Let's do it.
And we got we got some statistics to bring you here, a team preview of sorts, like we love to do.
Bang.
I got ASU's stats here on a thing. Oh, I didn't put their record properly. God damn it. I keep doing that, Kevin. We're back to the record. Take it off. We're back to the record.
It's all good. I do want to say that Edgar's comment just made me laugh. He said show up to work just to quit in person. But yeah, Damon,
filibuster for a second. I'm getting this a proper one.
It's all good. I'm mid Philly right now. David Veenstra says in the chat that Damon still wants those Dior Air Jordan 1s. Is this true, Damon? Is this? I mean,
David,
I want those too.
It, brother. The Dior 1s are the first purchase on the agenda. You know it, David.
Because you need shoes to walk around the Sanderson Ford lot, right? So you gotta have some shoes to walk around and shop for your new Bronco Badlands.
In that new Bronco, you think I'm gonna just put any old shoes in those things?
Hell no! You got some clean shoes. You need to clean up in the Badland. You know what I mean? But no, while Damon is getting the record straight, I am going to talk a little bit about ASU hoops because we don't know if Jaden Quains is gonna play or not yet. Damon, the assumption is that he will play because he did not play in the last game. I was talking to Eric Ruby pre-show.
Pretty typical of Arizona hoops.
Yeah, I was talking to Eric Ruby pre-show, and he said that the impression that he took away was that they were resting him for this game to make sure that he was 100% healthy for this game.
Fair enough.
Because this is their Super Bowl, Damon. So they have to make sure that they win this one. And I think that if you're Arizona, obviously you're not going to take ASU lightly. ASU defensively is a top 50 team in the nation. Bobby Ball doing this thing. But, Damon, this is, I think I had it right when I said that Arizona's versus ASU's spread would be 6.5. I think I had that. I believe I had that. Someone in the chat, if you were watching that episode, let me know. Because when Damon asked me what the line would be, pretty sure I said 6.5. And that's, last time I checked, that's what it is. I will be hammering that, by the way. I think Arizona wins this by around 10 points. So
I hope so, because I'll tell you what, that actually kind of made me feel a little bit, I'd say a little bit more uneasy about my bet I have going on with Anthony Totri. Loser, winner, gets to laugh as loser shaves off his head and does a buzz cut. There's some concern going on in Damon's world about that, but that's for a different day.
Eric Ruby also too much of a wimp to make a bet with me.
Soft.
SOFT, soft.
Genuinely maybe the softest guy I've ever met in my entire life.
I mean, I think,
it goes beyond just the bet, Kevin. That's a generalization of my good friend Eric Ruby. Love that guy, but soft as hell.
Yeah, he's pretty soft. He's pretty soft. I'm not
Well,
gonna
you know
lie.
what? I got a lot on the line here, and
You
that's
do.
my hair at stake. And
Your hair is at stake.
6.5 points. ASU U of A. I think that it should be higher, as
I mean, for a team that
you
looks like
say.
for a team that looks like this, Damon, 12-8, 3-6 record
Yep.
in the Big 12 conference. That defensive rating stands out to me, Damon. What stands out to you here?
Yeah, looking at it, ASU is 12-8 overall. They're 3-6 in conference, as you said. Picking up a couple wins against some of the lowly teams in this conference. ASU is beaten Colorado in their last game, which obviously Colorado has not won a game yet in the Big 12 conference. So not exactly murderer's row there, but still a decent win nonetheless. They were underdogs in that game, Kevin. Actually, lost to Iowa State. Gave it a good game in that game though. Beat West Virginia on the road. Seems like everybody's kind of beating West Virginia right now. Lost to Cincinnati by 7. Lost to Baylor in OT. Gave Kansas a good first half. Beat Colorado a second time, so they've now beaten Colorado twice. Yeah, I don't think ASU's that great. Offensive rating 99th in the country. Defense rating 32nd. Tempo pretty middle of the pack out of 367 teams at 171. And then that strength of schedule, Kevin, I think that's what stands out to me the most. Strength of schedule 6th in the country out of 367 teams. That's pretty high.
I mean, yeah, and when you look at their schedule,
tested.
when you look at their schedule per Ken Palm, Damon, they have played, Gonzaga, Santa Clara, who's a top 70 team.
Yep.
They've played GCU, Florida, who's at the time, was ranked pretty high in Ken Palm. BYU they've played. Obviously, these conference opponents: Kansas, Baylor, West Virginia, Iowa State.
St. Mary's is good.
Yep, they have us coming up next. Arizona.
Yep, they
so
play
Arizona State's schedule is tough.
They're battle tested, that's for sure. And some of those are good wins, to be honest with you. Santa Clara is a good win. GCU is a good win because that was really a road game, similar to how this game is going to be a road game for the Sun Devils. They played that game at Footprint Center, Kevin, and I'll tell you what, I was downtown here at PHNX headquarters, left around the same time the game ended. There was a lot of GCU alumni walking around, a lot of purple in downtown Phoenix that game. Basically a home game for the Lopes there. New Mexico, really good win. That's a really good basketball team. St. Mary's, that's a good basketball team. And then, you have losses to Florida, Kansas, Iowa State, but those are all really, really good teams as well. I do think Arizona State, it won't be out of the ordinary watching them play Arizona, matching up against the Wildcats. Like, they've seen similar talent teams to that before. They haven't really taken down those teams fully yet. We'll see if, the emotion of the rivalry and whatnot gets them going a little bit more. But in general, Kevin, not too concerned about this game. I do want to point out, though, that I believe I'm looking at right here. The line is 7.5 for Arizona State.
Damn. Close, though. Close.
Yeah?
I did see it somewhere at 6.5. But,
oh, wait. No, it's not.
But maybe it's changed.
That was the football line. That was the football line?
I don't think so.
That's what I'm being told here by Odds Shark, which has all the books on it, including our friends over at Bet365. It was like 8.5, 7.5 points.
Okay, well,
was that the mistake of the year, not putting the house on ASU in that game? I mean, we could have bought a house with our friends over at Carol Royce.
That's true. That is true.
With that, how easy of a hit that was. But yeah we're looking at Arizona minus 255, Arizona State plus 205. I think that's prime to put in a parlay with our friends over at Bet365, Kevin. I love that.
I love that too, Damon. But I wanted to say that when I looked at Arizona State's schedule, I was saying that Arizona will be the best Ken Palm team that if Arizona were to lose, this would be quite the improbable result. I'm trying to illustrate that here. Arizona State has not beaten a team in the top 50 since, I know they just beat West Virginia at 48, but a team that's solidly in the top 50 since they beat St. Mary's in November, who was ranked 23. So this is the highest ranked team that they've faced in a while. It would be the highest ranked team that they've beat, at least in Ken Palm, in a while. And Damon, I just don't see it happening. Like, I just don't. Arizona is too talented. ASU is too disjointed on offense specifically to make this happen. Arizona's defense is just as good. It's in fact better than Arizona State's defense. And what does Arizona State do better than Arizona? I don't think that, you know what I mean? Like, it's another one of these games where Arizona just has to win, and that's just what it is. Like Arizona needs to go out there and handle this team. I know it's a road game.
They're similar defensively. I guess that would be what I would say. They're a fairly similar caliber defensive team according to Ken Palm's defensive rating number. So I guess that's really what my answer to that would be for you.
And Damon, I was looking last night with Eric Ruby before we did PHNX Puffs because we were talking about this. We were both surprised. I looked at Evan Miyakawa's website and I was surprised that ASU has not allowed a lot of kill shots this year. And for those that don't know, a kill shot is any run made by you or your opponent of 10 to 0 or further, right? And I think what is Arizona State? I think they only have allowed 8 of those runs this year. And me and Eric were both surprised because when you see Arizona State play, it feels like they're always letting up huge runs. Right?
I see that doesn't surprise me as much because they're not really giving up. I mean, they're typically within 10 all the time. They're always within 10 because the score of the game is even when they play horrible teams, it's 34 to 28 and there's 6 minutes left in the game. Like ASU plays, they slow it down. They miss a ton of shots. It's gross, but that's Bobby ball. Like that's how they keep it close. I've talked about it with our ASU guys ad nauseum, Kevin. It's like the strategy is even though 8 points feels like 40 when you can't hit a 3-pointer, like ASU finds themselves in spots often.
Yeah.
That's 3 stops and 3 buckets, and all of a sudden you're back and you're down 1. You're tied in the game. Like things can flip on their head just like that.
Yeah,
That's Arizona State's kind of game plan. I feel like they like to muck it up and get gross, and that's Bobby ball, man.
Yeah, I was over here trying to find the exact statistic that I found. They have committed 9 kill shots, so they've had 9, 10 or more, 10 0 runs or better, and they've conceded 8. Which I think kind of surprises me personally, Damon, just because I don't see them as being a very consistent team. Like when I think about it, I don't think of them as being consistent. And so I feel like that kind of is more conducive to allowing kill shots than, whatnot. And I think Arizona should be able to at least have a couple in this game, a couple kill shots, I think.
Well, here's what they are consistent at. They typically, and I don't know if it's true of Bobby's team this year necessarily, but they typically are really good at getting to the free throw line. That's one of the things that I would assume that kind of puts you over the top of potentially a team in that kill shot statistic that you're mentioning, Kevin. Like if you're getting to the free throw line, you're typically going to hit 1 of 2 free throws at least, and you kind of distill that run a little bit. I think that they try to get to the free throw line regularly in those moments. I'm looking at here they're 68th in the country in free throw attempts per game. So 65th in free throw, and field goal attempts they're 65th. So free throw attempts 68th. Yeah, they are towards the top of the country. They're in the green there. I think Bobby teams like to get to the free throw line. They like to muck it up, and I just generally think other opposing teams don't make a ton of shots against them just because of the way that they play defense. So that probably plays into that a little bit more. I expect a lower scoring game than maybe we've been seeing recently, just because of how ASU likes to play. But I don't think that should be a problem for Arizona. Final little game prediction here, Kevin. What do you have Arizona winning by? We all know that Arizona's going to win. How much do you have them winning by?
Arizona. I want to try to give you an exact score like I cooked up last week. I might start doing that, Damon. Just throw 5 on an exact score for no reason. One day I'm gonna be right. I'm gonna go Arizona 83, Arizona State 70. That's a lot of points.
There's a lot of points.
64. 60. Oh, that's a lot. That's a big margin of victory. See, this is why it's hard. Damon, pull back the curtain a little bit. I FaceTimed Damon on accident last weekend, and I ended up trying to cook up a correct score. I think I sat there like just yapping to myself about going back and forth of like, well, this team could score a lot of points. He was like
truly analyzing it. He's like, I don't know, 75, 68 really is speaking to me, but 76, 62 is, it looks pretty good value. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Kevin, it's a correct score. You have to get it on the money. Like throw it at a dartboard and just see if you hit the damn bullseye.
I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, you could get pretty close to the number, but it's not an easy thing to hit whatsoever.
Well, in summary, I'll just save everyone the time, and I'll say Arizona wins by 12 points or better against ASU tomorrow.
Okay, I love it. I will go Arizona 73, Arizona State 61. Final score.
That feels good. That feels good. That feels right. That feels correct. I think Damon just let the script out. So
I will go over 7.5 Arizona themed chants in McHale North as the Cats take down the Sun Devils in our second home that is Tempe tomorrow afternoon.
I love that. I will have over under Damon 1 Henry Vasar body. So 1 Henry Vasar posterizer dunk. I will have.
We want that on Quaintance or on Sean Phillips?
I think it's Sean Phillips.
It'd be hilarious to see Eric Ruby's reaction.
I'm not gonna lie.
Sean Phillips.
Now that I'm visualizing it, it's Vasar dunking on Jihad. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
It is. Yeah, it is. That's what I'm visualizing. But also, Damon, I have over Caleb Love 2 deep threes that you're like watching from inside your hands.
Yeah, he shot that from Flagstaff.
Yeah, and it bangs. So yeah. I think this is Caleb Love and Henry Vasar balling out. Those are my 2 predictions in addition to the score.
Love it. Love it. I think we get a decent Trey Townsend game. How's that? How's that for a prediction?
Okay, Trey. Trey.
Double digits out of Trey Townsend.
What?
Take that to the bank. This is a Trey Townsend podcast, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows how much we love Trey Townsend on this podcast. That is a fact.
I think we're the biggest Trey Townsend fans in all of the Arizona fan base.
This is the #1 Trey Townsend podcast in America.
This is the one and only Trey Townsend podcast in America.
There's no question about that. Kevin, before we get out of here, real quick.
Over 20 points.
I love it. Before we get out of here, Kevin, Arizona women's basketball plays tonight as well. Give me a little bit of a preview of the game real quick.
Big old game against Utah, Damon. Utah, I forget the exact. Hold on. This is great podcasting here. Sorry about
Utah
that.
and their crybaby AD, Mark Hanlon.
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna bring up their head coach, Gavin Peterson, but yeah, I think this is a game. Arizona women's basketball is on a bit of a win streak here, a bit of a nice little stretch. They found their stride after me and Damon did not believe in the idea of them being back on our buy or sell segment 2 weeks ago.
I'll happily wear that.
But I'm happy to, like you said, I'm happy to be wrong about the Arizona women's basketball team right now. If they're winning, that is the key. A W over Kansas State, January 16th, a W over Kansas, and a W over Cincinnati. And then they follow that one up with a W over 21 ranked West Virginia. Damon, Arizona women's basketball is rolling. If they get a win tonight, that roll continues as they play Colorado next Wednesday. They don't play another ranked team until February 12th when they play Oklahoma State. So I think if Arizona can bank, 2 W's between now and the Oklahoma State game, they play Utah, Colorado, and Arizona State. I think that's huge as they look to try to claw their way back into some sort of, postseason play here, Damon.
Yeah. Is Utah ranked right now?
No, not that I'm seeing, but
they're a good basketball team.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, not that I'm seeing.
Yeah, they're 15-5 overall. They're right around where the rankings would be. I'm not super up to date on that, so apologies. But you got Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma State, West Virginia ranked in the Big 12. Baylor, Utah, Iowa State, all unranked, but all very good teams. And then Arizona following suit right after those teams. So yeah, this could go a long way in the Big 12, Kevin. Getting up to 6-4 would kind of put you right towards that top end of the conference rather than keeping you right in the middle where you're at right now. But Arizona, I'm looking at it with our friends at Bet365. Plus 425 money line tonight, Kevin. 9.5-point underdogs against Utah.
Kind of love it.
Arizona,
I
Utah,
might throw a flyer at that.
They play pretty tough games against one another. It typically comes down to the wire the last few seasons here, and it typically ends in Utah's AD, crying a swimming pool of tears, claiming that the refs cheated them like he always does because he is one of the most insufferable people in a leadership position in all of sports in America.
Damon, can I give you the craziest stat I've seen for our women's basketball team in a minute?
Sure.
This is just like a wild, he's the first person to shoot, 100% while it's snowing on a Tuesday in Indianapolis, right? That kind of stat. On this season, the Lady Cats are undefeated, 13-0 when they score the first basket, and 10-0 when they out-rebound their opponent. The Wildcats are also 49-3 since 2016 when shooting over 50%. This season, they have shot over 50% 6 times. and they shot 50.9% against Cincinnati. But 13-0 when they get the first basket, Damon? Are we just going to be first basket watching tonight? Is that at 6:30? Am I going to be glued to my TV just waiting to see if Arizona wins or loses tonight? Like, what's the deal? That's a kind of crazy stat, I'm not going to lie. 13-0?
I love that. That is actually pretty fire. They have 14 wins overall, Kevin. So that's almost 100% of the time they got to score the first basket.
So I think that's the key. If you're watching tonight's game, you should be watching tonight's game. When you watch tonight's game, the first basket is everything.
It's everything.
The first basket is everything.
Celebrate, cut down the nets if Arizona scores the first basket.
Exactly. 14 wins, 13 after you get the first basket. I think that's more than a trend, Damon. That's just who you are as a team, right? If that first basket doesn't go in, it's all over.
Yeah.
But no, I think David actually is on to my next point here. Bet the house on first basket for Brea Cunningham and then get a new house. Because Brea Cunningham, Damon, I don't know if you know, but she ranks 3rd in the Big 12 and 13th in the nation for field goal percentage as well. Huge key to the Wildcats' success. Jada Williams has scored in double figures for the last 10 consecutive games as well. So the offense needs to continue to hum if Arizona. I mean, we know that Adia Barnes teams, if that offense struggles, it struggles. But yeah. You need the talent to cream to rise to the top, so to speak.
Yep. David also puts in here the game is on FS1. Big opportunity for the Cats to make an impression on national television. That is so true, yeah. David. Tune into FS1 at 6:30. Watch the Arizona Wildcats take on the Utah Utes in Salt Lake City. Big game, as we noted. Well, Kevin, that was a pretty jam-packed show for you today, I'd say. We talked a little bit of basketball recruiting. Talked some ASU team preview breakdown going into tomorrow's game, as well as some NFL draft coverage from our guys that are showing out in all-star games. Just a loaded show. Great times, great vibes, as always. And, yeah, we're going to have a post-game show for you tomorrow as Arizona travels to Tempe to take on the Sun Devils at Desert Financial Arena. And, we're going to be hanging out, doing a little takeover of sorts there. And it's going to be fun. Do we still have any tickets for that, Kevin?
I believe maybe a couple. They're almost sold out.
Yes, go check out our events tab if you are interested in going to that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time with it. Kevin, anything real quick before we get out of here?
I just want to say that this show today was like a really good plate of like loaded nachos. You know what I mean?
It was.
Usually when you get loaded nachos, you don't just want cheese and like a meat on there. No. You want cheese, meat, jalapenos, maybe a pico if you're into that, maybe some olives if you're into that. Just you need some extra accoutrement, you know what I mean, to go on top of that. And I think we had it all today. We had the chips, we had the sauce, we had the dip on the side, we had the sour cream, we had the olives, we had the pico, all of it. Fully loaded show today, Damon. Fully loaded, locked and loaded.
I think Kevin's hungry, guys, so we got to end this. Starving. We got to end this show before it's too late. Thank you guys for watching. I am at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. He is at Kevo Post. That's KEVOPOSTS. Kevin Thomas on Twitter. Kevin, I got to say, when you do that's me. I don't know how it sounds on the audio, but like when I'm reading off your I hope it doesn't like kind of go over the top of like, you know, you trying to get in a little that's me action when I'm trying to get the folks to follow your fine account, brother.
That's the fine line I walk every day, Damon.
That's the risk you're willing to take.
Every day I walk out of my front door, and I don't know if people are going to be able to hear my ad on the show today. And I got to live with that every day. Yeah, that's what makes you who you are, and that's why I thank you for your service every day for this fine program. Follow our show at PHNX_Wildcats on social media as well. That's gonna be the main account. We're tweeting all of the all the stuff out from that account, Kevin. Football, basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball, every sport in Arizona athletics. We are covering it on our beat account, so go give that a follow. Follow PHNX_sports as well, our main account. And like I said, check out our events tab. We are, taking over McHale North tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. Until then, we'll catch you on a post-game show for tomorrow's action on a Saturday. But until then, peace and bear down. Go Cats. We all silly.